The boy's name was Daniel. Every day he woke up before the sun. His clothes were thin, often patched, but always clean. Daniel had a hunger for knowledge, a yearning for a life beyond the poverty that surrounded him. To achieve this, he clung to his education like a life raft. To pay for school, Daniel sold newspapers. He walked miles each day, his voice hoarse from calling out headlines. Some days were better than others. Sometimes people would buy his papers with a smile. Other days they would shoo him away like a stray dog. But Daniel never lost hope. He knew that education was his only way out. One particularly scorching afternoon, his stomach growled with a pain that rivaled his ambition. He had sold no papers that day, and his hunger gnawed at him. Desperation crept in, and he decided to ask for food at some of the houses along his route. Door after door, he was met with indifference. Some pretended they weren't home. Others barked at him to go away. Each rejection chipped away at his already fragile hope. Just as he was about to give up, he saw a small cottage with a flower garden in front. He hesitated, remembering the sting of previous rejections, but his hunger overwhelmed his fear, and he knocked softly. The door opened, revealing a young girl with kind eyes and a warm smile. She looked at Daniel with concern. He stammered, ashamed, asking for a piece of bread, anything to quell the gnawing in his stomach. The girl, whose name was Sarah, listened patiently. She saw the desperation in his eyes, the exhaustion etched on his young face. She disappeared into the house and returned a moment later with a glass of cold milk and a plate of cookies. "Here," she said gently. "This will make you feel better." Daniel's eyes welled up. He had never received such kindness from a stranger. He ate slowly, savoring each bite, the milk soothing his parched throat. When he finished, he offered to pay, but Sarah refused. "Kindness doesn't have a price," she said. "Just promise me you'll keep studying hard and make something of yourself." Years passed. Daniel never forgot Sarah's kindness. He studied diligently, fueled by her belief in him. He graduated high school with honors and went on to medical school, eventually becoming a renowned heart surgeon. He dedicated his life to helping others, always remembering the young girl who had shown him compassion when he needed it most. Sarah, meanwhile, faced her own share of hardships. Her family struggled financially, and she had to drop out of school to work and support her family. She took on whatever jobs she could find, her spirit unbroken despite the challenges she faced. She eventually married and had a family of her own. Life was a constant struggle, but she faced it with quiet dignity and resilience. One day, Sarah fell terribly ill. Her condition worsened, and soon she was bedridden. Her husband, a laborer, was desperate. He couldn't afford the medical care Sarah needed. He sold their meager possessions, borrowed from anyone who would lend him money, but it was not enough. He was beside himself with worry, fearing he would lose the love of his life. Someone told him about Dr. Daniel Carter, a brilliant heart surgeon known for his compassion and generosity. He was their last hope. Sarah's husband went to Dr. Carter's clinic, his heart heavy with dread. He explained his situation, the impossible medical bills, his wife's fading health. Dr. Carter listened intently, his eyes filled with a familiar kindness. When he heard Sarah's name, a memory stirred in the back of his mind. He asked a few more questions, his heart pounding as he pieced together the fragments of the past. He recognized the town Sarah was from, the circumstances of her life. Could this be the same girl who had shown him such kindness all those years ago? Without hesitation, Dr. Carter agreed to help. He admitted Sarah to the best hospital in the city, personally overseeing her treatment. He visited her every day, monitoring her progress, offering words of encouragement to her and her anxious husband. Weeks turned into months, and slowly Sarah began to recover.